This is the 19th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, X-Zone Lures, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good afternoon and welcome to a very special edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. Folks, in the fishing industry for the last month and a half, everybody's been looking for Waldo, and I found Waldo.
What's up, Matthew?
Good. How are you doing, Brad?
Doing pretty good.
Interesting show today. We're going to dive into a lot of it, talk to some of the fans. In one sentence, are you retired from professional fishing forever?
Yes.
Okay, we'll dive into that, how you kind of came about this, but real interesting industry right now. A lot of rumors about moving and shaking. Some stuff has gone down in the past 48 hours. Larry Nixon announces his retirement. That opens up a Legends exemption spot. Rumors, because we all love rumors, right?
Gotta love rumors.
Are that there were a lot of guys on the BPT who had Legends exemptions who were trying to beat down Bass's door to get back in. That spot went to Jordan Lee. The one and only Jordan Lee, back-to-back Bassmaster Classics in 16 and 17 on Conroe and Hartwell. And Jordan Lee returns to the Elite Series. I say that because tonight at 7, after the Bradley Hallman exclusive today, 7 p.m. Central Time, Jordan Lee will join BTL, Bass Talk Live, for a Wednesday night live edition to talk about his decision to return to the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Did you do a show this morning?
No, I'm just doing 2 today. I was, it's funny you should mention that. I was at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital yesterday in Memphis, Tennessee. Drove back last night, got to tour that facility. Thank you to Gretchen from St. Jude for putting that together. She's kind of in charge of the St. Jude Bass Classic that I fish every year up in Minnesota, where we raised $1 million. I know you guys are going to get sick of hearing about this, but hey, tough at St. Jude. So we went and toured it. Brian Robinson, Fat Cat Newton, myself, and Adam Bartuzek from the Crappie Chronicles. And it's like 5 city blocks. Like you go through and you have to have everything checked because they actually have like some proprietary stuff there. It's unbelievable. And you get in, it's like 5 city blocks. And I was thinking of it more like a hospital. And it was weird because you don't want to be like excited to tour a children's hospital, right? Because in a perfect world, a children's hospital doesn't exist. But when you get in there, it's amazing how they make those kids feel with the lighting, with the campus, with the housing, with all of the things to where, it's an 80% survival rate now. And it was like 4%, I think, when the hospital like opened on certain types of childhood cancer.
Yep.
And it's like hope. There's so much hope and there's so much kind of excitement for, these kids not only going in. So yeah, it's scary and it's a bad deal, but there's also, so it was a very, very eye-opening experience.
I think Fat Cat lived through it, didn't he, as a child?
Yeah, now he didn't go to St. Jude. He'll talk about that every year during his speech at the St. Jude Bass Classic that he MCs. But yeah, there's a number of people in the industry who have children or they themselves have been impacted, helped by St. Jude.
Very nice.
Yep. So I got my t-shirt on that Gretchen gave me, and now we'll move on for that. So what have you been up to, dude?
Well, I'll be honest. Today was an in position to even come. I don't know if you knew it or not, but I about took a picture and was like, dude, can we just bail today? I was right in the middle of a tree stand and putting it together and getting it put up. And I got this cedar tree all butchered up and I've got this thing loaded on the 4-wheeler and I've got it carried out to the middle of nowhere and I've got it 3/4 of the way put together. And yeah, I had to leave to come here. So that's pretty much from day to day.
Have you not killed any of those big ones that you saw?
Man, it's like, so everything that I've done is just for the boy, right? My 13-year-old. And I'm just really trying to get him set up correctly, right? And so he started bow hunting this year, which he had never done. Got his first deer this year already. We got that during the youth hunt, and we've got some cameras out, and I've got some nicer bucks, and I'm just trying not to mess them up. You know what I mean? I don't want to get anywhere around them. I've hunted with him with a bow, and I've seen what's happened, right?
Grayson.
So yeah,
okay.
Bow hunting's tough, right?
Especially how tall is he? 13. He's 6 foot.
No, he's probably 5'10", 5'9", somewhere in there.
He's gonna be
he's gonna be tall,
built like you,
probably
tall and lanky.
Yeah. But bow hunting's tough, and so I just I don't want to mess up those bucks. And rifle season's right around the corner. Matter of fact, it's this weekend, so everything changes then. It kind of evens the odds in his favor. So kind of waiting for that moment.
So you were actually out there today and then drove?
Yeah, I put out some more cameras, and I found another trail that those bucks are running. I got a scrape line that they're running, and I got some big.
Have you always been into hunting, or is this?
No, I did whenever I was young. I was like real into it, like Jason Christie into it. And somewhere around the time that I started fishing all the time in my early 20s, I came home from being gone fishing every tournament in the state of Oklahoma. And I was putting on my boat, and I said it to the deer lease. And my wife said, you fish more than any man on the planet. I don't ever say nothing. But then you're going to turn around and leave and be gone all fall and winter hunting too. She's like, you need to pick one.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fair enough. So I literally just quit. Didn't hunt at all for the last 20-something years.
That's since I've known you.
Didn't hunt at all. And Grayson came home somewhere around August, and my son, and he was talking about a boy at school, and his dad had taken him, and they'd gone to Cabela's or somewhere, and this and that, and he was telling him all about this and telling him about that. And he needed to get this bow and this and that and the other. And I was like, I do know a little bit about that. I know you don't realize that or think that, but I do. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So then he comes home and he starts talking about, well, after he got his bow, they tell me I need to get it paper tested, and I need to get it fine tuned and take it to H&H. And I'm like, dude, get a box, some tape, and a piece of paper. I'll show you how to tune one, paper tune one. So anyway, we've kind of taken off from there, and it's just been fun for both of us.
I didn't know if this was like a deal where you were like, hey, I just don't want to think or anything about fishing, so we'll try the hunting. But it sounds like it's kind of a return even a little bit to your roots and something.
Well, there's no doubt that it's been a
distraction.
Yeah, and there's something about sitting in a tree that's I don't know how to explain it, but guys that hunt really
therapeutic.
Yep. It gives you time to think about a lot of things, and it's something that I haven't done in a long time. So and hunting has changed. My gosh, we didn't even have cameras back when I was hunting all the time. So like to see what's out there now, of course, the cameras I'm sure have a big part of why the population of deer and the population of better bucks is in existence now, is because
they're seeing them.
Well, guys know they know what's there, so they're not shooting the first thing that walks by that's got antlers on its head.
I gotcha. So it's where the technology has
they're less likely to
grow bigger animals instead of taking more.
Yep, for sure.
Can we get into this whole thing? I know this has not been a topic that you've wanted to dive into at whole, but I called you and I said, I'm tired of the DMs and answering texts and seeing the comments on every show about what I would call a surprise retirement for the Elite Series that I think caught a lot of people off guard. Just kind of walk everybody through the process from the time you made that last cast or when this decision was made that, hey, 2023, I'm going to go a different direction in 24.
Yeah, I don't even like the term retirement because, I'm only 48 years old. But am I ever going to go back and fish the top level of bass fishing? No. So is that really a retirement, or is it just quitting?
That's a retirement because you did it for what? How many? 16
years? Yeah, but I mean,
combined?
You look at like Larry Nixon. That's a retirement, right?
Yeah, but everyone's different. I mean, I would call it a retirement. You fished the Elite Series for what? 6 years?
7 counting last year.
7, and then the FLW Tour for
another 5 or so.
5 or 6. That's a career, man. You're retiring from the top level of competitive bass.
Anyway, so that's what I'm getting at. Like I'm not even comfortable with calling it a retirement. So I mean, it's been kind of hard. It's not something I just wanted to, it wasn't an easy decision, right? Mm-hmm. It took me all fall, and some of my buddies like Castledine was even mad at me and you probably fall in this category too, although you didn't just straight out say what Castledine said, which was, why didn't you call me before you made this decision? And I'm like, man, I didn't call anybody. Like, I didn't call you. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't even talk to my wife that much about it. Like, I knew that this was a decision that I was going to have to live with the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be 2-3 years down the road going, why did I do that? You know? And I didn't want it to be influenced by an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I wanted the decision to all be mine, 100%. And really, I think the biggest parts that came to it is just that I'm just not as interested as I once was. Like, I don't think about it every day. I don't wake up every morning with the phone in my hand, wondering what happened in the world of bass fishing. You know, you and I kind of laugh about that, about how I don't ever know what's going on. But dude, that's lack of interest.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, whenever I did, and I was kind of forced into like how soon I was wanting to tell everybody, because I knew that the deposits were going to be due for the Elite Series, and that was going to bring up a deadline that I had to have a decision made by, right? And it came, honestly, a lot sooner than I'd have liked for it to.
When was that? When did you actually?
Last week.
Oh, okay. So,
but I've had still, you know, our last tournament was in August. I drove home from New York, and I've had plenty of time.
So when did you decide I'm done?
I started calling sponsors probably 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I think I called Valster first. Or Beckwith, Valster or Beckwith one.
Falcon
Rods, yeah. I called one of those two first.
AFCO, Spro.
Right. So I called them first, and it's probably been almost 3 weeks since I visited with them. I wanted to make sure they all knew. Every company that I was fortunate enough to be associated with, I made sure that all of them knew before Bass. But
did you go back and forth, or was it just slowly a build up to where you woke up one morning and went, no, I am 100% done?
Slow build up. I think my wife was even a little bit shocked. But just a slow build up, definitely. Just kind of just thinking about it from time to time. And then, like, there just wasn't anything that just excited me about going next year. Like, I hadn't even looked at the schedule for next year. And I remember being a little irritated. Scott Martin had called me and left a message, or maybe talked to me. I don't remember, but he was politicking for, you know, some decision that was going to be made at Bass, and he was making phone calls. Not to throw you under the rug here, Scott, I'm just telling a story, but
everybody does that.
Yeah, everybody does it for whichever way they want. And I just remember being a little bit irritated, because, like, I don't even really care what the decision is, right? You know? I don't know. A couple of things like that went on, and I just wasn't into it as much. And I don't know, you know, you'd think after 3 years of beating my head against the wall in the opens that I would have been all in. But the truth of the matter is that I gave everything I had last year. It wasn't lack of effort. I gave everything I could possibly give, and it just wasn't very good. It was the worst year I'd ever had. And man, I've just been so competitive and been able to compete at a pretty high level my entire life at fishing. And it was not working last year. And I know that's just 1 year. You know, I got some phone calls from different people that were unsolicited totally. The sport's changed a lot. A lot of the young guys, man, they're very friendly and outward. Kyle Welcher calls me out of the blue somewhere in this fall before I ever made this decision. And he's like, hey, man, I was just thinking about you. I wanted you to know, that I had a rough year the year before this one.
Yeah. I didn't make the
and
classic,
he's like, you can turn this around in 1 year, and I expect you to, you know, and I just want to, those phone calls and that kind of stuff didn't happen with the old guard back in 06 through 11, you know. It was more, you know, dog eat dog. It's a really good bunch of guys that they've got right now in the Elite Series. With all this being said, there was nothing about this like in 2011 when I was just mad at the world, mad at fishing. This wasn't that way at all. This was just more me being tired of, dude, you have to, which you know this, you've got to get up and fight every day. And I mean, fight like hell to stay at that level. It has
to be like air
every day, you know, and it's like breathing. You've got to get up and breathe it. if you want to compete at that level. And I just I'm just tired of fighting it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's life. I mean, you're at a different point in your life. Plus, I think some of it might be, Grayson coming back and being like, hey, I want to kill a deer. Hey, I'm playing full. Like, I mean, you've got a bunch of other things that you're interested in too.
Yeah, I mean, he started football again this year and being able to, but I would have been able to make all that. So that was one thing that I'd missed over the last 3 years in the opens because the schedule was so fall heavy, and that was one of the great things that I was looking forward to the Elite Series was that, it was over in August and then we were done. But, it's still YouTube and all these other things that go with it, social media and everything that carry on throughout the year, which I enjoyed doing. And I enjoyed all of the relationships and the work that we did with all the companies that I helped represent, the fan base and all the support that we've gotten from the fans. And I mean, it's just been phenomenal. It was
seems
a great
like
ride.
You really enjoyed the process, the grinding process. I've heard this from a couple people. I want to know if this is accurate. They said, man, his goal was to make it back to the Elite Series. And then once he made it to the Elite Series, it was kind of like, okay, I wanted to prove to myself that I could make it back, but there wasn't that next step following it. Yeah. Was there kind of a point where you realized that? Because, I mean, dude, between your YouTube videos and rooming with you in the opens, and you did it even before, the year with Scott. So what you have to understand is there's literally thousands of people who followed your journey through every single day of the opens and how excited you were during that. Yeah. Is that a fair assessment that maybe your goal was to prove to yourself that you could make it back? And once you did, then there wasn't a reassessment of goals?
There was definitely a reassessment of goals. I mean, I knew once I'd climbed that mountain that there was bigger mountain to climb on the other side. I did know that. But there have been times this fall that I've thought, it's kind of like Oklahoma, Texas football game. You win that one and then you come home and you play flat for two. It's like, did I fall into some of that, like you'd won this big game or accomplished this goal and then you kind of let down a little bit. But dude, that really wasn't it, because I know that I put a lot into last year, a lot. Now there were some times that, I could have pushed harder at practice and, another hour or two. And I see that, but man, I just didn't have anything left in the tank to go emotionally, spiritually, to keep grinding.
It doesn't sound like you are burned out right now. It just sounds like you've come to a realization that this is not what you want in life.
Well, it could be. The problem is on the flip side is I have no idea what the hell I want to do. So here I am, I've quit this and I'm like, what am I going to do? So I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. But it'll come with time,
And
hopefully.
The interesting thing is, for me, is 6 years ago, this isn't a deal, but you got that damn GoPro, and then you came into Jeffrey's and you were like, "Hey, hey, I need to learn how to use this thing.
Yeah,
and let's make a YouTube channel."
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have always been a very private person.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of people around Oklahoma who were talking. We're like, "Dang it, out of anybody we thought would be doing this YouTube thing, it's not Bradley."
Yeah.
And I think that's why it took off, was because you were so genuine and so many people. I mean, we've got 500 people watching now that connect to you because it literally is you. And the reason why everyone respects and likes you around here is the reason why they do on the YouTube. But then the flip side of that is you got everybody up in your business following your life now.
I am, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The best piece of advice that I got, because I figured, who in the world would ever watch, me on YouTube? Scott Martin was the best advice I had. And he said, just be yourself 100% every single day and it will work. And he was right. And when he said it, I was like, well, yeah, okay. But you're right. I mean, it kind of allows you to let people into the truth of what's going on. Dude, YouTube was hard last year too, bad tournaments and
it got a little dark there for a couple of videos.
It got rough.
I'm not gonna lie.
It got rough. John was in the house with me and he was having a horrendous year. And it just, the both of us in there together it was rough at times. It was rough.
Does it surprise you how many people follow you? How many of the people reach out to you? How many people say, "Hey, you're my favorite dude"? Yeah, my phone's constantly, since that Bass article came out, has just been ding, 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 and it's all different, reactions. Some really good friends of mine are like really concerned. Like, I mean, they've known me a long time and they're like, "Dude, you got something going on? Like, you need help with something?" I'm like, no, it's not it at all. So there's definitely a lot of people really surprised.
to me, I'm not as surprised. I just feel worn out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel tired of it.
Yeah. Does it have anything to do with how young all these guys are out there now too? Because I mean, if you think about it, Ken Duke used to always be on. He'd be like, "Hey, the average age of an Elite Series pro is like 44 years old." You're like right there where it used to be. But over the last couple years, I mean, you look at this year, 28 and 32 and 26 are the three oldest. The rest of the 7 average 23 and a half. Is there something to be said for that?
So I did a video on this. I'm sure you didn't see it, but
I stopped watching them. I'm not gonna lie.
I know, I understand.
Occasionally,
I understand. I made a video about this and I had the numbers and stuff. And if you guys hadn't seen it, go back and look at it. It's a really interesting video. It's basically on the average age of a fisherman, how that's dropping.
Mm-hmm.
And I had numbers from Jody White had done the numbers. I've told you about this. He had done the numbers and the math for Costa Championships, right? I call them Costa. What are they? Toyota Championships.
Yeah, Toyota
now?
Championships.
Okay. So whether it was Everstart, Costa, Toyota, I'm sure it went all the way back to Everstart because they were 20-year-old numbers. Yep. And it basically shows the average age of the top 10 for the final day of a Costa Champion Toyota Championship, right? And it's amazing how those ages have dropped in the last 5 years. Like it's ridiculous.
There's a bunch of guys that I don't know over there. And I remember when I fished them in 19, it was like, Dickie Newberry.
Yeah,
and all
that's
that
how it used to be.
To where like that
used to be
Toyotas
you would make a top 10 at any, and not even just the championship, but like at any of those regional level events, even opens. You fight and claw for 2 or 3 days, whatever it was, a 3 or 4 day tournament. You would fight and claw, and then you would have to go to that top 10 meeting. And Castledine and I were talking about this. And when you raise your head up at the top 10 meeting and start looking around, it's kind of like usual suspects. Mm-hmm. And it is names like what you're talking about, Dickie Newberry. You see those guys and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. And now, you go through and you look at the names top 10 and you're like, who's that? Who's that? And it's because they're younger. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but to think that some of that didn't have to do with my decision, 100%. I mean, I'm intelligent enough to look around and know what's going on. And you can see in the entire sport of bass fishing, a lot of guys my age, even guys 10 years younger than me and guys 10 years older than me for sure, we're out. Whether they want to face it or not.
Yeah, but you also adapted really well. I mean, you did a really good job. I remember you sitting there. You had those conversations, Brad, where you're sitting there like, I have to adapt. I have to learn this. And you would get so mad. You'd be like, I'm putting 3 live scopes on. I'm going out in the middle of the lake and screw the bank.
I have, and I'm good with it. And I like it. I enjoy using it a tremendous amount. I enjoy it. But doesn't change the fact that we're going. And I would just soon bow out. And that was another thing I thought about too. You go give another year, 50-50, maybe it turns around completely. I don't know the answer to that because I'm not willing to try it. But if it went bad, I don't know that I could have stomached another bad year like that. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to quit in the middle of the year because that's not me. But I'm just ready.
So that thought crossed your mind middle of the year. Like, man, I don't want to be here.
No. I'm talking about the middle. If I was to do it again next year. Yeah. In 24.
Okay. You're 100% committed in 23.
Yeah. 100% committed in 23. Okay. I never thought about it.
Sorry. I misunderstood that.
Yeah. I'm saying that if I'd decided to fish next year, knowing that a year can change drastically from one year to the next, which they can. Mm-hmm. But if it was to go bad, if it was to go a lot like my year in 23 went, I would be halfway in the middle of the year thinking, my gosh, the writing was on the wall. Why did you come back and do this again? And I don't want to go through that, man. I don't.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, since you are retiring from the top level, I want to go back over the 11 years because whether you like it or not, you've had some pretty badass stuff happen. And I want to kind of get your take on what you would consider some of your top moments. Cause I have 4 or 5 of them written down here. Okay. Like those moments where you're fishing, you're like, there's no way that just happened. But it did happen. Yeah. And some of the top. And then also if you have a comment or a question for Bradley, we'll read some of those. So it's what day of the week is today? I have no clue. This is Wednesday. The first day I've been home. Is it Wednesday?
Yeah. Wednesday.
Okay. It's Wednesday. BTL special noon edition with Bradley Hallman. We got him out of the deer stand.
All right.
For at least one interview. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top one on Strike King.
All right, guys, if you're a construction worker, soccer dad, soccer mom, you want to be outdoors, you've seen the Reaper. This right here is the zip-up full Reaper, but it's windproof, folks, windproof. And it actually has the mast built in. It's behind me. I mean, if you can look good, feel good, and stay warm, you better check it out. It's the zip-up Reaper. That's right, windproof.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
All right, welcome back. BTL on a Wednesday, talking with the one and only Bradley Hallman. Yeah, it's a weird deal, man, because fishing has been in or out. Like, what did you do during the time period between the last time you stopped fishing the Elites and then came back to FLW? And what was it that made you come back to FLW after you stopped fishing the Elites in 2011?
Probably a combination of a couple things. One, the regional level stuff. That's what I was fishing at the time, was on that side, the Toyotas and stuff. The money was just, the regional travel and stuff was a better circuit as far as money, as far as travel logistics and everything else. So that's kind of what I was already involved with, for one. And two, it was just a new place. It was somewhere I hadn't been. It was something that was interesting to me. New people, a lot of the anglers that I hadn't fished against. So that was very intriguing to me at the time.
But was there the same feeling? You said it's a totally different vibe than when you stepped away from the Elite Series the first time to this time. Like, different part of your life, different feel. Like, you knew back then there was a chance that you revisit it, or were you done at the time?
Well, I mean, at the time, I didn't think I ever would.
I mean, are we going to see you Nixon and Clun this thing and be in the opens at 71?
No.
No.
And I knew a long time ago that I didn't want to be Nixon and Clun. I didn't want to be traveling around the circuits, fishing tournaments at 60, more or less, at their age now. But no, it was just different. I was just really involved. I just got back involved in fishing. I was working with Jeff Miller, Jared's dad. Yep. And he kind of got me to fishing some team tournaments and stuff. And, pretty soon after, so by 2012 or so, I was fishing around here in the state, and it was just fun. You got back into it, and I do foresee that for sure happening to me.
Okay. So you're not hanging up the rods and reels forever.
No.
Okay. I told someone that I thought you might not fish for the next 5 years.
I stuck the boat in the garage, but in 2011, when I stuck the boat in the garage, I told my wife I'm selling everything I got. And she was like,
did you actually do it?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No, she told me to shut the door and just not mess with it for a year. And that's probably about what I did.
Sound advice by Dawn.
Yeah. But no, this time, no, I don't feel that way at all. Like I said, I'm not mad about it. I'm just tired of.
It's just not what you want to do.
Man, New York's a beautiful place. It's great. It's mind blowing, being out on some of those fisheries and looking around. They're just gorgeous. But man, 2,000 miles away from, my family and the children. And like, I don't even know sometimes if they even know where I'm at. And does it really matter in the whole scheme of things, And I don't know. It was just different. But back to the change in FLW, that was really it. It was just a new place. And then, whenever I did come back to FLW, I was extremely motivated.
You won two tour events in 3 years?
Yeah. I was just motivated, it was a new place. It was fun. Fishing hadn't changed that much then. And, and FLW was really extremely competitive. I mean, over half of those BPT guys and guys in the Elite Series, probably half of that bunch too. I mean, we were all there together. So, the Aries and Scott. And I mean, there was a lot of people there, and a lot of great fishermen, Andy Morgan and Smokey, Thrifty. It was
Wesley Strader.
Yeah, it was a good group of
David
dudes.
Dudley.
Yeah, it was loaded. You know what I mean? It was
Martin.
a field. It was,
it was the field.
It was a field.
Yeah.
And it was a legit field. And so it was motivating to get up and fish against them every day.
This is interesting. I'll read this comment from Derwin Harris. He said, the most disrespectful thing we can do is project our wants and opinions on someone else. Congratulations and much respect to Mr. Hallman for your decision. Best of luck on the next chapter of your life. And I think that's why a lot of people were surprised, was because of how many people related to you, followed along, was along with the journey, and rooted for you every day of the Elite Series. And that's something that I think is kind of hard to understand, because as a guy in the opens and one of your friends, I would do the same thing too. I mean, every day there's a couple names and a couple things that I'm looking at, and I'm always like, all right, this is when Brad gets to train back on the end. And I mean, that's over 8 months that you kind of look forward to that. So you have the tournament, and then the video comes out after it, and then you're on Todd or Andrews or BTL, and then you talk about it, and then the process starts again, and you've kind of been there from the very beginning. So I think that's why that's one of the cool things about the social media is,
absolutely,
man, you developed a lot of diehard fans that are still fans of yours to this day. And I think it's not that they think you made the wrong decision or anything. I think they're just disappointed that their journey, as far as that's concerned,
well, I know that I'm not going to fish on the Elite Series ever again. And, I'm not going to fish at the top level of this sport, but I'm still going to continue to fish. And that was one of the kind of breaths of fresh air I was able to take in once I kind of really settled what this is. It doesn't mean I have to quit the social media stuff, Oh,
really? So this is a change. So there's a chance that you might stay active in that.
Yeah.
I had heard that the YouTube channel was going dormant.
No. I haven't touched it in, a few weeks. I'm not.
And you've gotten some people nervous, like, holy cow, he worked his ass off on this, and now it's just going away.
No, I mean, there's still an opportunity for that, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's opportunity for whatever the hell you want to do.
Right. And so I'm going to tinker with that and play with it. I don't know how heavily I'm going to do it or how heavily I'm not going to do it. Obviously, I've got Todd and you and a bunch of people that would really like to work and do stuff all the time. And so that's definitely an option and an opportunity that I have out there. And that, like I said, that's kind of a breath of fresh air to me, knowing that even though I'm leaving that level, doesn't mean that I have to just completely check out. I think that there'll still be some regional level event stuff in my future, for sure, but fishing at the top level, and that much trouble.
Like maybe some Nichols, Brandon Belt stuff.
Some Toyota championships, some opens.
Okay.
I think you could see me there. Yeah. A good Central Division, Open Division
just
to come out,
in it.
Have a Grand Lake and a Sam Rayburn and a Dardanelle or something like that on it. You might see me, but I'll definitely cherry pick. I'm not going to fish.
You do what you want to for enjoyment.
I'm not going to go fish Jim Bob's River that's got 2 bass in it, and we're all fishing for those 2. I'm done with those days. Done.
I'm headed there in a couple weeks. This is something I don't think gets talked a lot about, but I mean, you did this for 11 years. How much of a driving factor in coming back was trying to cross a Bassmaster Classic stage? And it sounds like that's still alive, with possibly fishing some opens in the future or something like that. But has that been a driving factor in anything over the last 5 years?
I don't know, dude. I've watched a lot of guys go through there, and I've I don't know. I don't know how in the world I've never, the 1 year that you finish 5th in the points is the year that they take 4, in the opens or whatever. Yeah. And then the year that they change whatever. And then, you're the one guy out or something. Yeah. It's just something. Or if you win the points, it doesn't have a classic spot, it'll be it's something else on the winner of the tournament or something. But anyway, Yeah, I would definitely say that would still be a backdoor.
Because it seems to me
level.
like that was a little, like in the back of your mind, that's been a driving force in this, what I would call a return.
That was my driving force, no doubt. No doubt. And to win it, not just be there, but to win it. Yeah. But, you know, things change and things don't always work out the way we want. But, dude, I don't regret any of it. I don't regret any of the drive. I don't regret any of the work that we've done. Dude, I still remember some of the best times I had. Look, this trophy right here. That's one of the best trips I've ever had in my life.
Right there,
dude, that was a great trip.
Yeah,
we're out in the desert flying a drone. Remember I bought a drone? Yeah, I could make the US Open.
You had never had the drone up, and we were out in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And we pull off at a reservation.
Yeah, an Indian reservation.
Oh, I remember
stuck that sucker up in the air. Remember that in the mountains?
You were like, I might never see this again. There it went.
Yeah. It was great.
That was a great trip, man.
It was.
You did. We were all gung ho on the drone and the social media.
That was the year you won, and Bub Tosh, right?
And remember, Birdman went into the final day. We were all kind of rolling together, and Kurt Dove went into the final day. You had an outside shot too. You had a good event there too. Yep. You just caught too many in practice. I just talked with who did I just talk with? Oh, on I did Zaldane's podcast, and I just talked with Zaldane about that, about how we put into Overton and literally on a buzzbait, right? That buzzbait right there, that exact one.
I've never been on mead in my life.
I mean, what did we have the first couple of days of practice? I'm behind Bradley. So Bradley had decided.
I don't know. We caught three or four fish that were in that 3.5 to 4.5 pound range. And I was remember like, why does everybody keep thinking this place is so bad?
I remember you going either it's fishing really good now or I'm about to blow the US Open out of the water.
Yeah, but there's only like 6 of those fish swimming in that place.
Yeah, that's what he said, and that's what I told Chris. I said we didn't realize that, you know, you're catching the one fish in that cove, and it's so clear and they're so territorial that they're swimming 30 yards, and it's not until you're with someone like Salvucci and you're like, and that fish has already been caught, Nick.
Yep.
So there might be something that like you get a hankering to go.
Oh, I definitely think I'll have some of that. So like, it's not over. I just don't want to fish at the top level anymore. Yeah. I just don't want that travel and that schedule.
Had you forgotten what it was like to do it at that level?
Not at all.
You knew it.
I knew exactly what it was going to be.
You think a good tournament early might have changed things?
Well, I started out at Okeechobee, okay.
No, you did have a good tournament. You cashed a check.
And then I started out the second one all right, too. I mean, after the first day, it kind of fell apart after that. And then I just never could get back in the saddle. And, you know, it wasn't until Champlain that I caught them again. I mean, you know, caught them the way I wanted to catch them. And I had plenty of opportunities. I had a couple things that just go wrong that are just against the odds. Like when we were on the Alabama River, and I don't remember the name of the one that we were on, but the house that we rented, and this stuff will happen. You know, I was telling John this after it was over. John had rented the house, and it wasn't anybody's fault. It's just the way that it lays out. So the house that we ended up being at the very bottom end of the lake, which looked gorgeous, right? We're sitting up on this hill and you can see all this water. Well, you know, you spend majority of your practice close to where you're staying. It just works out that way, you know? And a lot of times that's good because we were staying a long ways from takeoff. And so you're getting away from some of the pressure, but you get a few bites. And as it all came down on Saturday morning, I was the last one there and I was leaving. So Saturday would have been the top 50 cut. And I remember looking out over the river that morning, and I could see the entire across the lake. And so about the time they would have been taken off and stuff, there wasn't one single boat down there. Nobody came. Nobody. Not one. So, you know, you kind of, you know, some things like that, some breaks here and there that work out. And sometimes they work in your favor. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you end up staying right by where they're at, you know. Mm-hmm. But it's not like you don't push to go further up the lake. You do, but get from there all the way up into that river section where they really caught them pretty good. Never made it that far.
Yeah. Looking back over just some of the highlights of the career, and I'm going to throw FLW and the Opens and the first time you were on the Elites. Back when you were on the Elites, didn't you have like a string? Didn't you have a year where you had like a string of top 10s, like 3 top 10s or something in a row on the Elite Series back in like 2007 or something like that?
Yeah, I think in 7.
Like I remember it was impressive as hell.
Yeah, I had a stretch where we finished up 07. We finished up 07 in Florida, and that may have been my first top 10. And I made one there, and then I started the next year with another one and maybe another one after that and kind of rolled. And then Then I had a stretch in 08 or 09, somewhere there before my dad got sick and died, where I had a few top 10s in a row as well, from Dardanelle over to Wheeler.
Yep.
And then obviously I had the FLW at Wheeler that I finished second by 1 ounce, where I was 1 ounce from having 3 of those trophies. Yeah. Yeah, that all happened in 07, 08, 09.
What did it mean for you to get an FLW Tour trophy? Because at the time, like you said,
yeah,
the
like
guys were the guys over at FLW.
Yeah, and I had lost one, like I said, by 1 ounce, and that really hurts. If you lose one by 1 pound or 2 pounds, you got beat. But to lose one by 1 ounce, man, it just really hurt. And that was the day I've talked about it. I had a culling error the second day of that 4-day tournament. That was my fault. It was over 1 pound mistake, which at the time when it happened, I was like, no big deal. You missed one by 1 pound, but it ended up costing me. But the FLW wins that's what you fish for, right?
They were impressive wins too, because you blew everyone out in Florida, and then you had has there been a bigger bag of spots weighed in since then, or is that the biggest bag of
I'm sure
at
that late they've caught bigger bags.
I just meant like in FLW Tour or Elite Series.
I can't
think of a single other. You had a 24.5 pound bag of spots, right?
Yeah, something like that. 23.11 or 24.11 of spotted bass. Dude, when it happened, I knew too, like, this ain't ever happening again the rest of your life, so you better enjoy it.
But that's a high. I mean, I would imagine after a win like that high has to be like, I'm going to do this the rest of my life every single day. Like, you have to be
you come off, you're just like, it's the greatest high in the world, like if that's a drug that everybody that fishes looks for, is that drug, and you can't get enough of it. And then once you reach it, it's like, it does become easier. There's truth to that, because you believe. Oh yeah. Cause then you believe, and like without a shadow of a doubt, you can do it, you're capable of it. So it becomes easier. There's truth in that for sure. Both those wins end up being me coming from the front. I would say that the Toyota a few years before that is kind of what really gave me that
was
belief.
A spook tournament.
Well, it was a sight fishing tournament. Is what it truthfully was.
Didn't you smoke some on a spook on the last
We caught
day?
them all on bedfish. All of them looking at them. And I made some strategical moves in that tournament that really helped me. Of course, we were on Grand Lake, so that helped.
You hadn't won anything at this point as far as...
Not at a regional or national level. And the last day, it started pouring down rain in the morning. Well, you can't sight fish with it pouring down rain. And I just went to the areas where I had seen big ones, like tried to sight, like I knew that they were in the area, but they wouldn't stay pegged or weren't locked on or whatever. And I put that spook over the top of them, and those females just went crazy. So I had a great last day as well. And then the sun came out, and I was able to catch one close to 7. And so put me up around 22, close to 23 pounds, I think, or something like that. 21, 22 on the second day, on the last day of the tournament. So, and I was leading going into that last day too, I believe. If I wasn't, I was in second.
I'm going to pull up a video of that right there. There it is. Oh God, look at that. Oh my gosh. That's a fish just destroying a spook.
Yeah. Yeah, those were good, and that's what gets you going and motivates you to go further. But that's definitely what, gave me the confidence in the beginning.
What was it that made you record the on the water stuff? Because there's a difference between doing the YouTube thing and all that, and then the recording. I know that was always you kind of went back and forth between, I don't want a damn camera, like it's a pain in the butt, and I'm going to have 9 angles and create this thing that I have my buddies weld that shows it out in front of the boat. Like, you always seemed over the last 4 years to kind of go back and forth over every camera angle showing every single cast that I've ever made, and this thing is in the way of me trying to do my job. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it is a fair assessment. And I was always torn between, really just trying to focus on the goal at hand, which is catch as many bass as you possibly can in an 8-hour period, but also knowing that the fan base and the education is what I was bringing, educationally. And I wanted to bring that. We all kind of went into different aspects. Todd likes to sit on the couch and talk for 4 hours about what he's done. And, I don't have that much interesting stuff to talk about. I would prefer using on the water coverage and just do some talkovers on it maybe, and just share that way. But I knew that, you know, if you look at YouTube, you're only going to be one of two things. You're either going to be to make it work, right? And this is for any of y'all thinking about doing it. You've got to be one of two things. You've either one got to be entertaining, but I'm not Fat Cat Newton or Fat Cat Newton, Fat Cat, or, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's just, you know, over the top funny or entertaining.
A swindle.
Yeah. Those guys are just entertaining. And those are the guys that we like to hang out with, you know, on a Friday or Saturday night after a tournament too, because they're entertaining to be with. I'm not really that guy. So you're either going to be entertaining, or you're going to be educational, one of the two. And that's what I think.
And sometimes you can engage.
Or I guess in this world today, I take that back. You can be a third and you can be very successful too. You can be controversial.
Yep.
If you want to be controversial, you can get your numbers that way too. But I knew for a fact that was something I was never going to do. Never have touched it. Never will. It's not me. You know, I get along with everybody. I don't have any enemies. Like everyone on the Elite Series I get along with. Everybody at BPT I get along with. I mean,
and that went through the opens.
All through the opens.
Even the guy who had the confrontation in the
Creek. Like I try to be fair to everybody, dude. You know, and I give people, and there's been times that I probably should have gotten, you know, that I got the short end of the stick and should have been a little bit more upset than what I was. But, you know, it's just sometimes it's easier to just keep the peace and keep going, you know?
Yeah. All right, let's take a final break. When we come back, let's just wrap things up, put a bow on it. Like I said, if you have a comment or question, I've been throwing up a lot of comments. There's a lot of people, that are wishing you well. Jim Dillingham from North OKC.
Yep.
He said Gene Gilliland, Mark Jeffries, several others who used to wear a Tennessee ball cap back in the day at them tournaments. That's right. He said, gonna miss you on the Elite Series.
Yep. Go Vols.
All right, we're gonna take our final break of the show. When we come back, wrap things up with Bradley Hallman. It's BTL on a Wednesday. We'll be back right after this.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronic setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at shorelineboatandrv.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips. So if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out and never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, we are back. BTL on a Wednesday, wrapping things up with Bradley. And thank you. Yeah. Thank you for coming in and doing this, man. I know you didn't have to do this. You could have stayed out in the tree stand.
I was just putting one up, so we're good.
It was not ideal, but much appreciated. And everyone's asking, is Bradley okay? There's a lot of people that are worried about you, which I thought was weird because it's just fishing. But then, if that's the only, I'm like, yeah, no, I've tailgated with them multiple times. We drank beers together. I said, it's all good as long as I don't if I bring up fishing, he's like, all right, got to go. Bye. I said, but as long as I keep it to OU, life, family, relationship, any of that stuff, you're all ears for it. So, you're good, right? You're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. I just want to make sure because I get the text a lot. Is Bradley okay?
I know. I get them too. Like I was telling you earlier, I've got some good friends of mine that text me and it's like, dude, is everything all right? You need some help with something? You and the family doing okay? And I'm like, yeah, man, everybody's good.
Here's someone say, I'd love to listen to a BTL about the best anglers to have never crossed the classic stage with Ken Duke. He's saying you would have to be on that list. That's a good list to be on, but also a bad list to be on.
Correct.
I still think you have a chance to make one. I think that's might be what will drive you to take a couple shots here and there. And if you're enjoying it and you're in it, I would not put it past you to when you least expect it, win the one that gets you in the damn classic. You try for 11 years for a championship and then you jackpot one.
It could work that way. Like I said, you get a little pick and choose and only fish your division that's close to home and, playing it a little more like some of the other guys are playing it.
Big Water Bass. Oh yeah. If it wants to know, there's a bunch of people. Hey, you're not having a yard sale for all your stuff, right?
No.
Okay. So you don't have to keep an eye out for that. Brad's keeping all this stuff.
Yeah. I think Panger's got more stuff than I've got. I was just in his garage. I think he's got more tackle than I do.
No, that's all my tackle is what you don't understand. Because I just got back from Table Rock.
Yep.
Doing the Demiki thing.
Yep.
Dude, Cody Huff. I don't know. I've talked about this on the show. There is nothing more demoralizing than knowing 100% you're in the winning area. You stay in the winning area, you're doing the right thing, and you just get your ass handed to you by someone who does it better.
We're talking about forward-facing.
No, I'm just talking about the Demiki stuff with Cody Huff. So we had that little 16-boat OBT thing. It paid $2,000. It was like, you draw employee of Outdoor Brands team, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not an idiot. I called some of the guys who were fishing the Toyota series, and I was like, hey, where did it go down?
Yep.
So I knew where it went down. So, we go there and practice, whatever. Cody Huff is there.
Right.
And he's obviously one of the best guys to do it and has won multiple times on Table Rock, doing the Demiki and the ice jig and the spoon.
So he's whipping your ass is what happened.
No. So, I'm in the game, right? Because of information, but I'm still in the game regardless here or there.
Right.
I'm in the 5 to 10 football field yard stretch.
Gotcha.
Where there's winning fish.
Got it.
And Cody goes 14 and a half, 15. And I go 11, 12. 14 and a half one day, 15 the next day. And I swear to you on the second day, it was 4-1. Because we're always within sight of each other. We're just roaming around the middle of freaking nowhere over 130 foot of water. But that sucker either had something in his settings or bait or both, or he knew how to trigger to bite. So I asked him afterwards. I was like, man, I was 1 out of 30 that I'd see on scope I could get to eat. He's like, yeah, it was probably 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, so if we're seeing 40, he's catching 16.
Jump on that Elite Series.
And I'm catching
you'll have
1.
99 of them that can do it like that.
Yeah.
That's where life is. And like I said, I love it. I do. I love it. And I feel like I'm pretty good at it, but I'm kind of like you. I get amongst some of them and it's like, woo. They can make more of them bite.
Drunkwood, he said, you're welcome to come to Kentucky when OU plays. We'll boo the Wildcats in unison.
Dude, I love that guy. I need to get one from him. I need to purchase South Carolina, state of South Carolina. I need to mail it to Billy Got a Bass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I need to get that done with you.
Drunkwood is on Instagram and Etsy. Drunkwood, INKY.
Dude, I've got
in Kentucky.
I've got a Powerhouse Oklahoma one.
Yeah, and look at that right there.
Yeah.
BTL, live, laugh, dink, and dunk. Yep. And then if you walk into my house, did you notice my house sign? Cut out in the shape of a bass. Yep. And he sent me that as a housewarming gift. Not sponsored. And he can actually be a pain in the ass sometimes, Drunkwood. He got me involved with a robot on Instagram today. Actually, it was your it got deleted. So it was your birthday yesterday, right?
Yep.
So Bass posts it. Bot posts immediately under it. I'm looking for a relationship, a loving, godly man. If you know, please contact. So Drunkwood, being Drunkwood, goes, I got a guy for you at Matt Pancrack. I'll show you this.
So then the bot attacks you.
So then the bot attacks me, likes every single one of my things, sends me 8 freaking messages.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Look, I'll show you right here. It cracked me up.
He's good at doing stuff like that. He had one post on Instagram where he's looking in the mirror and he's smiling. Have you seen that? The post that he did? He's not wearing any pants. You can see his ass at the bottom, but like it's hidden because like I don't even know how he pulled that off.
Someone who
on
has
Instagram,
a good heart, Genuine said, willing to support my dream of humanitarian works. Hope I can find him here. I know he is here. And it's right under the happy birthday for Brad Hallman. Drunkwood says, Matt Pancrack can help. So then look. She goes in, likes everything, sends all these. I mean, it's some 40-year-old dude in a like factory over in Sri Lanka or something going, Absolutely. Oh, I got this guy. Anyway, long story short, if you're looking for anything for Christmas, for the holiday season, Drunkwood in Kentucky, Drunkwood, INKY, supports the industry, listens to all the shows, talks to everybody. He actually helps all the guys who click on links they're not supposed to, like, hey, can you help me? And then they click on it and their stuff gets taken over. He's like an expert in getting it back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But he takes bourbon barrels, buys the bourbon barrels, and then turns them into artwork and shelving and all sorts of stuff. So check that out. I
think James Watson did that. He clicked on something he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, I'm sure that Drunkwood helped him out there.
Watson.
You would be shocked. There's a surprisingly long list of Elite Series and pro anglers who click on links they're not supposed to and then don't want whatever's on their phone to be spread across the internet. He deals with a lot of very
sensitive subjects.
Yeah, a lot of people that are very freaked out, so to speak. Like they're willing to do whatever. I think he does it for free, and I think that he could charge whatever he wants in the moment.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's true. He also brokers Airbnbs. Oh, okay. Yeah, hella bass on there. Anything else you want to get in? So here's the deal.
Hey, I still got a bunch of these. Okay. I got BFE camos.
Yeah, one thing. So you're not. Let's wrap it up. You're not done with YouTube.
Oh no.
You'll be back on social media. You're just taking a damn break, gathering your stuff, and you'll be back. So it's not like the end of an era.
Yep.
Apparel wise, jump into that.
Still got the BFEs. Got the camos that I've never sold online, and I've got the black camos that I've never sold online. So I had the brown camos and the black camos. Just got them. And then obviously, if you live in the Oklahoma City metro and you want them, they have them at Lucky Lure.
Lucky Lure Tackle.
Yep. And then all mine you can buy at Bradley.
They have all 3 designs at Lucky Lure. Have you even dropped the 3rd design?
I've never dropped these camos that I'm wearing right now, and I've never dropped the black camo. Never have either one of them.
Courtney has a black camo.
They do have them.
That's where she got them at Lucky Lure. Lucky Lure, and we got the black camo early this year.
Yeah, I let them have them. It's a sick looking hat.
Yeah,
it is.
It's like that, except and then the straight black.
But they're all on my website now at bradleyhallman.com, so you can buy them from there, ship them straight to you.
Tournament wise, you'll jump back into it when you feel like it.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be more like Todd stuff, where I'm just kind of playing more around the house and doing that kind of stuff.
Will you still jump on BTL every now and then?
Absolutely. God, dude, your house is a long ways. By the way, when I was driving in here today. I've never been here.
I could have sworn
house.
you had been here.
Panger lives in such a bad place. He is literally a half a mile walk down a country road to a casino. And I can see you taking that walk, headed off to the casino. It's close, bro. It's a big casino too.
I've noticed it.
Yeah. You noticed it.
I have noticed it a time or two passing it. But I mean, I'm kind of out in the middle. I'm kind of a little bit.
I mean, it's a nice little country road walk, and then bam, giant casino.
It's not giant.
It's giant. It's giant.
It's a small one.
The Black Hawk. Is that the name of it?
It is.
Oh, wow. It's a big casino.
I'm
just thinking, you know, on a Friday or Saturday night, you know, it'd be a nice little walk down there.
It is. I avoid that. I avoid that on the weekends.
Anyway,
Brad, I'm trying to fish and make it through the opens. No time for the Cino.
Hey, as long as I've been tournament fishing, sometimes I think it'd be better off just to go to Vegas and take all $50-something thousand.
Oh, it'd be better off to go down to the Black
and just
Hawk.
say we're going to
zero expenses.
Red or black.
I just walked down there.
Yeah, and then you could be over. Your whole season would be like red or black. We win or lose.
If you think about it, if you take 9, let's say it costs $5,000 a tournament,
right,
to fish in each open. You walk in, you put $5,000 on red or $5,000 on black. Mm-hmm. You have a much better odds. You will make more money.
Yeah.
That you walk in 9 times a year and put it on red 14 or black 17.
Mm-hmm.
You might win 2 or 3 times in a row. You might lose 2 or 3 times in a row. But I mean, your expenses are zero. It's actually $5,000.
I will say, you know, the Elite Series payback's pretty darn good deal.
Yeah.
It's probably the best that I've seen any of the pro circuits be as far as payback. It's really good. It's getting there. Also, another thing that came up, Watson was wanting to auction off my spot. So I, you know, like when you do what I did and you're just like, not coming. There's nothing you can do with that spot you earned. Like, it's just gone. And I was like, we should be able to sell this. How much money would that spot have been worth if I could have sold it on this market today in 2023?
Sold an Elite Series spot?
Yep.
You're joking when you say
I'm joking, yes, but like,
do that.
Yeah, I'm joking, but like, how much would it be worth? Because Watson was not joking. He was being serious.
So listen, we got Jordan Lee coming back, and I don't know. I haven't listened to any other podcasts, so I don't know what Lucas said, or I've listened to Dave's or what anyone else has said, but deposits were due, right?
Yep.
So we know who's in and who's out, and there's a handful of announcements coming. I think there's 5 or 6. There's 6 announcement from the BPT going to other places.
Wow.
Obviously, Bobby Lane just announced yesterday that he's going back to Major League Fishing, which I thought was an interesting move.
1 year in the Opens, and he's going back.
1 year in the Opens, and he's going back. But I
told you, dude, like that's not an easy road.
I said on Chris's show on the bilge and traits, because she's the one who grilled me for an hour and a half on that. That I thought like 2 or 3 max, and I was wrong.
2 or 3
We're
max.
talking big, like leaving the BPT this year.
Oh, you think it's definitely going to be more than that?
I don't think so. I know so.
Right.
It's more than 2 or 3. It's less than 10, but more than 2 or 3. And some surprisingly big names.
Yeah.
I mean, guys who've lifted some stuff over their heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
You know what? Let's close the show with a question here.
Okay.
With a little bit of a veteran advice from a former professional bass angler. He's big water bass and said, Brad, any advice for someone that wants to enter the Toyotas for the first time or looking at the Opens for 2025? This is your bread and butter, man. You just spent the last 4 or 5 years of your life.
I would say this. I would say pick a circuit that, you know, I've always said this with any of this stuff, you know, unless goals or something further in the horizon pushes you one way or the other. I'm looking at paybacks, you know, just like a casino. I want the one that pays the best percentage odds of payback money for the money that I'm spending. That's one. That's the first thing that I think that everyone should really look at. 2 would be travel. how close, how far away are the fisheries that you're signing up to fish. Anything that is closer, man, I'm telling you, I know that when you're thinking, well, I'm only going to 3 and that one's only 800 miles, but man, it's a lot. It just takes more time off work, more time away from your family, more time away from your fishing at home, getting other things done. So being logistically closer is a good deal. And then also, if I'm going to drive, man, I want to go somewhere good, and that was one thing that I loved about the Elite Series schedule and knew that I would, was that, man, they fish the premier lakes in the country, the premier times. And I enjoy that. I like Slugfest. I like the opportunity to be able to, catch giant, what we call freak show bags, everybody likes that. And they make your year, one day can make a whole year.
It is. All right. On a personal note, Bradley, thank you very much for what you've done for me over the last 3 or 4 years. There's a lot of guys. I mean, you've been in the house with the biggest guy out of all of them, and Scott Martin, and on YouTube. I don't think you realize how much your veteran presence and calming influence in the house in the opens and talking with you over the years, just talking about fishing, has helped me. And then also, just as a friend in personal life, and
I feel the same way.
Rooting for the Sooners. And now you've got, you talked about the scene, and now you've got plenty of time to troll the USC message boards until the end of the year. You don't have to get ready for that.
Any USC fans out there listening, I know that you think that you fired Alex Grinch and that everything is going to be better when you get a DC, but we're giving you fair warning. That's only step one.
What happens? What happens to Harbaugh? What should happen to Harbaugh?
I don't care about Harbaugh.
You don't care about Michigan?
I was just talking about USC. I really don't. I don't think they're doing anything that everybody else wasn't doing. I mean, he's obviously gone a little bit further than most. How many more years
does Lincoln have at USC?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Firing the DC, you think that you're going to fix it. Yeah, it's only the first step of realizing that it's Lincoln. It's not the DC. It's Lincoln. It's not the DC.
How many more years do you think he's got at USC?
2 tops.
Really?
Next year's going to be a train wreck. He doesn't have Caleb anymore. They're in trouble.
You think he's going to stay, though, for next year?
Their recruiting class has got like 15 guys in it this year right now. He's smoked. Everybody else, Oklahoma, Alabama, we're all pushing 30.
Does that warm your heart?
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. Not that I hate USC that much, but yeah, we dislike
that's
Lincoln.
What I said. It has nothing to do with the actual program.
No.
It has to do with those
Lincoln
that are employed by the program.
Yeah, Tebow.
Great question here by Pete. Are you going to jump back on Open Pros pick 'em if Andrew throws out the invitation next year? No?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Well,
I'm not going to say absolutely not, but probably not.
Depends how much he pays. He paid pretty good this year.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Brad, you got anything else you want to get in here?
I don't think so. Really appreciate all the time and effort and everything that you've taught me, and
I've taught
editing
you
videos.
Stuff?
Oh yeah, editing videos. I didn't even know how to turn one on. You told me what software to buy, how to edit. I mean, you taught me all that stuff. I had no idea. Mark was like, "Yeah, get this, and I'll teach you." It was you teaching me, not Mark.
Yeah, Mark doesn't. He just, in theory, Mark knows how to do it, and then you realize it takes him 30 minutes to do something.
No, it was definitely 100% you. You remember I used to drive you crazy and be like, "All right, when we get done with the show, we got to work for an hour on this." And you would.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember we did the BFE video and stuff?
Like we did all that, man.
Like the greatest BFE video was filmed on the rock. You had just moved to that new house and you had that.
That was a good video.
You had that. We were trying to figure out how to get we had the
Waterfall.
First prototype, right?
Yeah.
And you had the waterfall out in front of your house. You're like, let me see if I can get water on this thing. And it started and it looked like a babbling brook.
Yeah.
It's like 2 feet outside your house.
Yeah. Babbling brook.
It was. That was good stuff. All right. Tonight, don't forget, 7 p.m. Central Time.
2-time Bassmaster Classic champ.
Yeah, you realize he's won like everything over at MLF too?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
He's won the World Championship.
He's a walking fishing
he's
god.
Won the Red Crest. He's won the Angler of the Year. I don't know if he's won Red Crest. He might not have.
I can't believe he's coming over.
That surprises you?
Yeah.
Does not surprise me. Does not surprise me.
He's won so much over there. He's won a lot.
I think the next 18 to 24 months, there'll be a lot of content for BTL.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you got plenty to talk about.
It does. Hey, good luck on the deer. Hopefully either you or Grayson can smoke a giant one. in the remainder of the season.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Thanks for jumping on, Brad. I greatly appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. See ya. All right, guys. Tonight, 7 p.m. That's all we got. Later.